A very happy evening to those joining from India and those from other parts of the world, morning, afternoon. Of course, a very happy evening to Ms. Moona Ssahni, founder and CEO, Monaargy Consultants and former CFO, Rajasthan Royals, our expert speaker for the evening on how to be the CFO of your business and your life. A very relevant, very apt topic for today's times. So before I dwell on the importance of this topic, I would like to say a few words about Spin Chennai. Of course, Spin Chennai is new to Ms. Moona as well as to several others who have joined us today. There has been a lot of newcomers who have come in because of this topic as well as because of Moona. So I would like to take a couple of minutes to talk about Spin Chennai. So Spin Chennai is celebrating its Pearl Jubilee year. This is the 30th year of our existence, and we are affiliated to Carnegie Mellon's Software Engineering Institute, and we are one of the very exclusive and dynamic spins amongst the various spin forums in the world, which are really existing and active. So because of not only because of the impact it has been creating through the reach and the programs, but also for the consistency and relevancy with the future focus. For example, one of the people asked, how is this topic relevant to Spin Chennai, right? So definitely today's times, I will talk about how it is relevant a little bit later. But for our members, it is all the more relevant in today's times as to with so much uncertainty all around in terms of jobs, in terms of visa, in terms of mobility, where somebody will be, and things like that. There are so many dimensions of volatility that is happening that people have to be very cautious. So Chennai Spin has been the pioneer in promoting various high maturity and quality and management practices, processes, frameworks, and models, including the world famous capability maturity model 2.0, the ISO various flavors, Six Sigma, Lean, theory of constraints, BS 7799, GDPR, Agile, Malcolm Baldrige, Balanced Scorecard, Blue Ocean Strategy, 5S, 7QC tools, TQM, ESG. I think you name any model or standard, we have consultants in Spin Umbrella who can help the companies in those areas. So we were one of the first ones to identify digital transformation as a big theme way back. And we kind of consistently work towards making it a very competitive weapon through our forum. And we have also created a draft maturity framework around this. So if you take the supply chain costs for India is around 14% of the GDP, whereas most other countries, developed countries, it is at 8%. So if this metric alone can be improved with the digital transformation, you can imagine what kind of impact we'll be making for the country level. So like this, there are so many metrics which can be vastly improved through digital transformation. And that is one of our, if you take Spin, there are three vectors, which are very important: digital transformation, innovation, and methods of excellence. So through this, we try to transform the industry and the members through this initiative. So if you take Agile, for example, Spin Chennai was a pioneer. In 2011, we had interaction with Dr. Jeff Sutherland. And very recently, during the COVID times, the author of Scrum, Dr. Jeff Sutherland, he came twice to Spin Chennai Forum, although online. Once as a distinguished lecture series and another for chief guest for Watts Humphrey Awards. So we have several of the topmost thought leaders in the world who have been associated with us. Dr. Watts Humphrey, as you all know, is hailed as the father of software quality, and he worked with Spin Chennai for more than 10 years and visiting us multiple times between 2000 and 2010 until his untimely demise in 2010. So based, in memory of him, we instituted the Watts Humphrey Awards in 2010. And since then, every year, we have been in his memory, we have been celebrating this Watts Humphrey Awards, recognizing excellence in case studies. All across India, people submit case studies and we go through it is a very sought after award from the industry, from the IT services and BPM and other industries as well. So our Dr. Jeff Sutherland, Dr. Bill Curtis, author of the CMMI and the People CMM model. We have several other players from Google, Facebook, Twitter, who have all been part of Spin Chennai under various circumstances and shared thought leadership. Our steering committee members continue to play an active role in shaping global standards as well as in Indian industry standards, including CMMI, Agile, GDPR, and various other frameworks through FICCI and CII and other forums as well. So Spin Chennai successfully conducted recently Watts Humphrey Awards, 16th edition during November 2025 and the SpikeCon International Conference during July-August 2025. Apart from the monthly events like the one which we are having, which is a distinguished lecture series, there are various other, at least there are 7 other ways in which people engage with Spin Chennai. They can be part of the individual member or a corporate member going through our website. They can register in 2 minutes. They could be an event delegate. For example, somebody who's attending today's event, or could be attendee of one of our training programs, what we now and then conduct, or could be a contestant in Watts Humphrey Awards or some other innovation challenge what we conduct, or somebody could be a faculty or a trainer in one of our training programs, or could be a strategic partner like IJATC International Journal, which publishes thought leadership from Spin Chennai, or one could be a sponsor of our events or academic partner. So there are multiple ways in which one can participate with the Spin Chennai ecosystem. So that is, recently we have also launched the Deep Tech Forum. See, Deep Tech is a very, very important initiative to position India in the world map along with the US and China. Because if a country has to be competitive and well developed in the era of AI, we need to be cutting edge in terms of deep tech and innovation. That is the one which will give you competitiveness and which will give us the edge. Otherwise, we will be dependent on other countries for various IPs and other stuff, which will make us inferior, not be in competition. So that is why Spin Chennai felt the need for other organizations. This is the deep tech may be one of the line items. Whereas for Spin Chennai, this is a very important focus area which will help position India on par with the US and China. There is a long catch-up we need to do, and we cannot wait for others to take the lead. So Spin Chennai is taking the lead in terms of enabling providing enabling infrastructure or market access or funding or technology related services. So we want to be the platform on which deep tech companies can kind of build their scale, and we want to be a very serious player in this space. And deep tech is not like other startup ecosystem. There is a long gestation period, and you may not see revenue for a long time. And it requires a lot of patience, a lot of investment, all those. So that is where it needs more and more support than the regular startup ecosystem. So coming to today's topic, being the CFO of your business and your life, what does this mean? That means that we are taking ownership of decisions, trade-offs, and outcomes with the clarity and discipline. It is a very powerful metaphor for leadership and self-management. So if you take the business, capital allocation decides the destiny, right? Where leaders want to invest the time, talent, and attention. That is the one which decides the success of the organization. It is a smart allocation. Same way, profitability, is very important than vanity, right? What revenue, headlines, growth numbers, valuation, those can all mislead, right? A CFO mindset brings focus on sustainable value, unit economics, and long-term returns, right? The profitability, the bottom line is a key focus area. So if you take companies like Infosys, it is known for profitability, right? So that is why the sustenance becomes very high. Similarly, risk management is also when markets, technology, and regulation changes fast. CFOs thinks in scenarios, buffers, and downside protection, not optimism alone. So that is another important dimension of a CFO. And data-driven decisions. Gut level decision for the CEO and others is important, but numbers don't lie. A CFO mindset kind of brings discipline, measurement, and accountability. And last but not the least, the cash is reality, right? Whatever strategy you have, whatever technology you may have, it will fail if cash runs out, right? If the cash is not there, then I don't think you could be a Elon Musk, but then you may not be able to survive. So the CFO thinking ensures liquidity, resilience, and survival, especially in downtimes. Similarly, when we look at our life, right, time is our most important precious currency. Just as cash is finite, so is time. So being our life CFO means asking, is this the best return on my time and energy? Right? That's a key question everyone needs to ask. So align the spending with purpose. Money, effort, and relationships should reflect values and long-term goals, not just impulsive or kind of social pressure. And we need to invest, not just consume. Right? Consumption is very easy. So if you look at our life, we need to invest in health. We need to invest in learning, relationships, and inner growth. Assets that can compound over time, not just consumption and what you call feelings alone. We have to manage risks proactively, right? Health neglect or a burnout or financial indiscipline or unhedged risks. They cannot be easily hedged with something else. If you ignore, then it is gone. So a CFO really anticipates and mitigates them early. And always we need to measure our energy levels, peace of mind, quality of relationships, and a meaningful impact. And last but not the least, we have to build reserves. We have to build, emotional reserves, financial reserves, and spiritual reserves that will help us handle crisis with grace, just like cash reserves help a business survive shocks. So, with this, I don't want to take much more time. So, I would like to invite Srini to give a quick introduction to the speaker, Ms. Moona Ssahni. Thank you. Thank you very much, Moona.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thanks for your, introduction to Spin Chennai. And, it is actually pretty hard, encompassing all the 30 years of journey that Spin Chennai as an organization has taken. So thanks for that. And I would be failing in my duty if we don't give a proper introduction to Ms. Mona. So Ms. Mona Ssahni is a chartered accountant, strategic finance leader, and currently the founder and CEO of Monaargy Consultancy. With over 2 decades of hands-on experience in finance, governance, and business strategy, and she is also best known for her role as the former CFO of Rajasthan Royals, where we just briefly had discussions on that line as well. So this actually helped her perform in a very high performance and high pressure environment, which also was at the intersection of sports, operations, and financial leadership. And today, Mona works closely with founders, CXOs, and professionals as a fractional CFO and strategic advisor, helping them be the CFO of their business and their life. Personally, I know me being a founder, I know how hard it is to manage the cash flow and all of that, wading across the compliance, finance, and all that. So it is a great job that what you are doing, and your mission in terms of creating 1 million financially happy businesses and million financially free individuals, that too in a grounded, happy money mindset. I think that is a great effort that you have taken up. And your very first book, The Money Karma, which is expected to be in stores in April. So we all, can't wait to get hold of our copies and have a look at it and see what exactly we could go through. So without any further ado, Mona, I open the floors to you, and you could take up the session, and we would all be privileged to go through all your insights. And a note to the participants during the session: if you have any questions, please post them in the chat box, and we could take them up one by one after the session towards the end of the session. So over to you, Mona. Thank you.
Good evening, Spin Chennai. Thank you for fabulous introduction, Srinivasan, and thank you for this opportunity. I love the energy of the group. It's amazing to be here. So, talking about money, money is very, very close to all our hearts. Everything we do ultimately boils down to money. And all of us think that all we do about money is based on data and logic, while the reality is everything or most of it is emotionally driven. And we will discuss a few things and around money and around behaviors, etc. We'll start with personal life and then move to businesses. And the reason I'm doing this is in this form is how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you can't be very calculative with your personal money and not calculative with your business, or vice versa. If you're doing a free flow in your spends in your personal money, obviously that will also be visible in how you run your business. So there is always an alignment in things that you do. So I thoroughly believe how you do one thing is how you do everything, and based on that we'll touch upon personal lives and then go into the business life. And what does CFO mindset really mean? It does not mean canceling your emotions, it does not mean ignoring your triggers, it does not mean not being in present with how you feel with money. In fact, it is the other way around. It is coming in presence with what is actually happening. How are you feeling when you are spending? How are you feeling when you're earning? How are you feeling when you're saving? And how are you feeling when you're investing? Are you able to do all of this with grace? Or all the time while you're doing this, are you anxious, worried, triggered, having sleepless nights? Let's say you invest in crypto and you have the sleepless night for next 10 days now because the Bitcoin has gone down. Bitcoin will go up, will go down, but you need to know your investment strategy and why you've invested in Bitcoin. Example, just an example. So basically, We'll touch upon these points very quickly, try and distribute about 20-25 minutes on personal life and about 30 minutes on the business life. So moving straight to the topic, before I start, I will talk very, very briefly about happy money. When it comes to money, we have a lot of emotions with money. We are afraid of money. We are sometimes angry with money. Sometimes we feel very good about money. Sometimes we feel this money is not enough. Sometimes we are greedy about money. Sometimes we are givers. Sometimes we are over givers. And sometimes we are just not willing to share our money. So there are different points in times, and at different points in times, we go through different behaviors with money. So when I say happy money, essentially what I mean is that when you spend money, you know consciously what you're spending on and you're easy with it. When you're earning money from sources that are aligned with your body, mind, and soul. I get money by helping founders. Let's say in my case, I help founders make their business financially successful, and through that I make money. I'm fully aligned with my mission, and it does not upset me. But let's say if I'm doing something which I'm not aligned with, let's say I'm in a 9 to 5 job which I hate, then even if I make a lot of money, my soul is deprived. I get a lot of money. Every month, a huge amount of money, let's say, hits my account, but am I at the soul level satisfied? Maybe not. So, alignment of our energy when we make money, and this will also flow in the business piece when we discuss, is very, very critical for money to sustain. When you earn in alignment, the money is sustainable. It stays with you for longer and for good. When we come to saving money, now, how are you saving money? Are you saving money after what is left, after making all the expenses? Or you clearly know how much you're going to save right at the point when you make money? That is again a critical point. So, saving, planned saving, clearly knowing what you are saving for is also important. And lastly, investing with grace and belief that it will grow. So happy money cycle completes when you spend consciously, earn in alignment, save with safety in mind, and eventually invest what you've saved with ease and joy, and your money multiplies. When this entire piece happens, this is happy money flow. I don't know if you've heard about this concept before, but it was very a lot is spoken about this in Japan by Ken Honda, and he's written multiple books on happy money framework, and it's a very, very powerful flow. If you follow this piece of happy money, personal life and professional life will change multiple folds. I have seen that this for myself, and that is why I am sharing this with you. In terms of now coming to CFO lens for personal money, what is CFO lens for personal money? Do you know each one of you, Major, Srinivasan, Dr. RV, Rajaji, and Parandaman, all of you are CFOs of your life. Because every day, each one of you is making decisions on how to spend money, where to earn money from, where and how much to save, and where will those savings be invested. So while you are already doing that, why not follow these three pieces or three roles as a why not run these three roles while you are playing the CFO of your life? And what are these three roles? Actually, before we move forward, would you mind putting your cameras on? It's very daunting to just see names of people and no cameras. If it's okay, those who can, please put your cameras on. Yeah, it's good to see faces. At least I know I'm talking to people and not windows. Thank you. Thank you for putting your cameras on. Okay. So the three qualities of a good CFO, and which basically you all should imbibe as a personal CFO is first is awareness. Being aware of every inflow and every outflow. It shouldn't be that you've kept 10,000 in your wallet and then eventually you come to your wallet finding that you have only 2,000 rupees left and not knowing where is the 8,000 gone. Or it shouldn't be that you thinking that okay, in my bank account there should be 50,000 or 5 lakhs or whatever that amount is, but eventually when you look into your bank account you find that oh, payments have gone out but I'm not aware. Any movement of money from your account, whether it is an inflow or outflow, cannot happen without your permission. And when I say permission, what I mean is awareness. Of course, if somebody pays you, the money is going to hit your account. If you go to Zepto or Swiggy or Zomato or wherever, whichever website you use your cards or you pay your bills, of course the money is going to move out. But is it conscious is a question you need to ask yourself. So if you imbibe by the principle of awareness and know what's really happening in your personal financial life, you have acquired the first skill of being the CFO of your life, which is awareness. Second is safety. Now, when I say safety, it means that have you created wherever you are in your personal lives, have you created a safe financial situation for yourselves? Those in tech world would there are two people wanting to enter the room. If you can accept them.
Yeah.
Thank you. So when I'm talking about safety, what it essentially means is that have you created a safe place for yourself? See, whichever job, business, whatever you are doing, none of it is guaranteed to run forever. US has seen maximum number of suicides by Indians who lost their jobs in the last year. And things have happened and will keep happening. World will change, crisis will happen, wars will happen, regulations will change. Some or the other surprise will keep coming. But are you prepared for a surprise is the question here. Are you running with safety? Which means, have you created enough corpus or a reasonable corpus? I'm not saying you need to be financially free here. What I mean is, do you have reasonable emergency funds in play which you can use should there be a situation which is beyond your control? As a CFO, you must, because you are acting as a CFO. But if you're acting as a CFO who's careless, not taking care of the safety of the life you are living, your dependents are living, your co-dependents are living, then it is going to be a problem sooner or later. And the third quality, which is critical, is review. Review means whatever you've decided in the four buckets of spending, earning, saving, and investing. Are you reviewing that from time to time? And let me give you one or two examples, real life examples here. Let's say you started an SIP. And let's say you started an SIP of 20,000, 25,000, 50,000 rupees, whatever. It could be 10,000, 50,000, 1 lakh. You started this 10 years ago. At that point in time, let's say your SIP was 10,000 a month 10 years ago. At that level of income, that 10,000 SIP made sense. But now your income has grown fivefolds. Did your SIP grow fivefolds? Is the question. Let's say now this is a situation where things have gone or worked well for you. Let's say things have not worked that well for you. You started an SIP of 1 lakh a month, but now times have changed, days have changed, and your what what the amount of money you have. Your kids are grown up. Let's say you have not sustain 1 lakh SIP per month. Then have you brought it back to a number which is safe for you, which is right for you? This is possible only when you're reviewing all of the four buckets of earning, spending, saving, and investing periodically. I do it fortnightly. You can choose monthly, but anything beyond a month is late. You have to give some reasonable time to your financial life within the month. It has ideally about 1 to 2 hours to plan everything, to know where you are, to know where you want to go, and to know where you will eventually reach. And when I say eventually reach, what I mean is what is your enough? How long are you going to work? How long are you going to continue saving? What is the end goal? Do we ever enter a train without knowing which station to get out at? No, right? When we board a train, we exactly know, okay, we have to go from, let's say, Chennai to, let's say, Mumbai. So we exactly know our destination. But I come across many individuals, many founders who have no idea about their destination. They don't know where they are heading. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years into jobs and businesses, they don't know what their enough is, whether they are close to their enough or not close to their enough. They continue to work 10, 12 hours every day, sacrificing their personal lives, sacrificing everything around, in and around, just to just to keep it going. And when I say enough, enough means your financial freedom number. There is a complicated matrix to this, but the simplest one, which I tell people who, if you find anything else very complicated, then one simple matrix for financial freedom you can use is, what is your monthly expense? Let's say your monthly expenses or annual expenses, sorry, which means your annual expenses 12 lakh per annum. And to find out your financial freedom number, you will multiply 12 into 25, which will give you a number of 3 crores. So let's say if you have 3 crores, you are essentially financially free, which means 3 crores at 1 lakh per month expense, 12 lakh per annum expense, 3 crore will give you, and 3 crore, of course, you just can't keep 3 crore cash at home and say I'm financially free. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I meant 3 crore invested into instruments and different instruments, which of course, if anybody needs any help and support, I can guide them. But, and when I say instruments, it could be a mix of bonds, mutual funds, other assets. And once that is invested, in investable assets, it will give you a return which is good enough to sustain or give you a passive income of 1 lakh per month, probably more. It is this calculation beats inflation, which means this will take care of inflation and continue to give you that kind of passive income. So this is really your enough. Before we move forward, I'll very quickly ask you to do a small, very short exercise, and this exercise is simple. You have to rate these sentences from 1 to 5 before we move to the business side of things. And 1 means no, and 5 means yes. 2, 3, 4 are in between. So, you're not completely no, but slightly there. So you'll probably choose 2. And if you're more on the yes side, not fully yes, but slightly there, slightly away, you will choose 4. So 1 is no, 5 is yes. And I ask you to rate these 6 sentences. You can just use a pen, pencil, marker, or use it on your phone notes, whatever works. These are only 6 sentences, and then you need to sum up the total. So the first sentence here is, I know my monthly inflow and outflow clearly. And clearly means clearly. I know. For example, I know my monthly outflow is 5 lakh rupees and my inflow is 12 lakh rupees. So it needs to be as clear as this. Exacts. It could be 5% variation is fine. It cannot vary by 25%. So first sentence was, I know my monthly income and outflow clearly. Second sentence, I have an emergency buffer that gives me calm. I repeat the second sentence. I have an emergency buffer that gives me calm. Third sentence. I feel safe about money even when income fluctuates. Fluctuation could be both sides, up or down. I don't get panic attacks. So when I say I feel safe about money, what I mean is I don't get panic attacks when income fluctuates. Fourth, I spend consciously, not emotionally, not because I want to impress somebody, not because I've seen a reel, not because I've seen an influencer do it, not because I'm copy pasting someone else's lifestyle. I spend money consciously, not emotionally. Fourth, my investments have clarity and purpose. I do not invest on 31st March to save tax. That's not clarity, that's not purpose. Okay. An investment that has clarity and purpose is something that you envisage and plan in the April of the year and invest through the year and not invest on 31st March. Or not randomly invest because a banker told you or a friend told you or you read something in the newspaper and you think that this share might go up, so I should buy. That's not purposeful investment. And last sentence, I review my money monthly without fear or avoidance. I do not avoid my card bills. I do not avoid my bank statements. I do not avoid my demat statements. So I review my money without fear or avoidance. These were the 6 sentences. I would request you to sum this up and put your total. And if you feel unsafe, don't put your total. If you feel safe, put your total in the chat box. I will leave this up to you because there's no judgment here. The idea is not to judge anybody less or more, but the idea is to identify and see the mirror for ourselves. Because this is what we also carry in the business in some way or the other. So here my point is, if your score is between 26 and 30, then your money is in flow. Then you don't need to really worry, you are in a good flow. If your score is between 20 and 25, you are stable but emotionally dependent on income. Every time income fluctuates, you become very emotional, you get emotionally triggered with changes in your income. If your score is 14 to 19, you have a stressed flow and your clarity is missing. And if you are anywhere below 14, you are in a survival mode. You're just surviving, not thriving. You're purely surviving. This score is not a verdict, it's purely a starting point for you to think about money differently. And what is the different, how is that you think differently about money? Is moving from avoidance to awareness. Avoidance is the most expensive money habit. Money avoids people who avoid it. So if you avoid money or if you avoid looking at statements or if you avoid money in any way or form, money will avoid you. So that is changing from avoidance to awareness. Whether you like numbers or don't like numbers, money is not numbers. Money is energy which you need to exchange anything you want to have in your life. Whether education, exchange money, freedom, exchange money, travel, exchange money, food, exchange money. So money has got nothing to do with math. If you think you didn't like math, doesn't matter. You didn't like biology, but you're still breathing, right? You didn't stop breathing because you don't like biology. I will not use my lungs because I don't like biology. We don't say that, right? So there's no no logic for not loving or not being aware about money just because you don't like math or numbers. So coming to the second shift from income obsession, we are so obsessed about income. Earn more, earn more, earn more, earn more, and do what? Peace does not come from earning more. It comes from knowing you'll be okay if even if earning pauses. When you know that, okay, for 6 months, if I don't make money, I'll still survive, then that is when you will actually feel the peace. And money will stop becoming a stress buster and will create peace for you. Just earning more and just spending more. Each time, new promotion, new car, bigger promotion, bigger house, bigger promotion, bigger wedding. I don't know what. It can go on and on. We can keep buying assets which depreciate. We can keep, all of us can keep doing that. But I think it's high time all of us need to consciously think about money and move from income obsession to safety creation. And the third point is move from guilt based spending to intentional spending. And what I mean here, I was gifted XYZ by Mr. A. Raja gifted me 5,000 rupees, so I have to also gift him 5,000 rupees. Ron Money did something for me, so I have to do something for her. This is guilt spending. Or guilt could be in any way or form. I'm not spending too much time with my children, so let me buy them fancy gifts to make up for the time. That is again guilt spending. Guilt spending can be any way or form. I don't look very good, so I should go to the fancy skin clinic and get more and more and more, whatever, facials and masks and I don't know what else. Advertisement world is made and is actually using guilt to ensure we all spend phenomenally. And that is the trigger that they use really for us to spend. So avoid guilt-based spending. Buy what you need. Don't go and register to gyms on 1st January because now your resolution is to lose weight, or take another productive planner on 1st January because now you're going to do everything differently. It doesn't happen. Be conscious about what you really need. And this essentially is all about, in a nutshell, when I talk about happy money, this is what I would want you to, stay with is happy money begins the moment money stops feeling unsafe. When money comes to you, when you earn money, when you spend money, when you give money, even the money that you give it out of overflow. Don't sacrifice your own things and, give money. You should give out of overflow. You should set aside 10% of your income for giving. Not that, and by the way, giving unlocks prosperity. So if you do give 5 to 10% of your income every month, it is proven. All religions talk about it. It is proven. There is science behind it. Because when you give money, you attract more and more money. So this in nutshell is about happy money and personal life. And now we will move quickly to the business side of things and how does this affect businesses. So while I help founders move from, chaos to calm, and I ensure that they do not kill growth in the process. And how do we do this? We look at the businesses, and in most cases of lately, I'm realizing it's not work on the Excel file that I do, but it is the work that I need to do on the person in rewiring their belief. And when I say rewiring their belief, and these beliefs of these founders are coming from their personal lives. A founder I was working for spent 2 crores on the office renovation, and the business was about 40 crore turnover, but not generating profits. It was barely breaking even. And I was asked to do a financial diagnosis. I did the diagnosis and I found out that the business did not have a clean and clear inventory system. You all are tech people, so you all understand the importance of systems. They were required to, invest a small amount into the systems, but the founder went cold feet when it came to investing in the system. Now, had he invested in the system immediately, 80% of leakages in the business would have stalled. But it took him 5 months to make that decision. Why did he take 5 months? Because his conditioning was that systems don't show, but offices are visible. So even founders end up investing in areas which come out of personality traits of show off versus objectivity. And this is not one case. There are many such cases. The more founders I work with, the more I realize. In Rajasthan Royals, I've seen different board members, coming from different conditioning and different priorities. So as a CFO, it became very important for me to align what is most important for the business for that point in time. And this is the objectivity that is critical for those who are running businesses. 4 CFO responsibilities for founders is visibility. Now, when I say visibility, I'll explain it also. Second is runway. Third is systems. And fourth is review. When I say visibility, it means every founder should have 13-week cash flow. 13-week practically would mean 3 months. Every founder has to have a 3-month cash flow, which means he exactly needs to know what is the fund that is going to come in and what is the fund that is going to go out. It's a simple Excel table. It could be a fancy system. If not a fancy system, if it's an Excel, that would also work. But knowing inflows, outflows, and where the gap is will help them identify their cash flow requirement well in advance and keep all the surprises away. CFO's job is no surprise. If something is not going to go as expected, a CFO knows that beforehand and ensures he's put plan B into play. So let's say if inflows are less and outflows are more for a certain period of time because one key vendor is in US and US tariffs has affected, let's say, the system, and those inflows are going to get delayed, then a CFO will put an overdraft in place for the short time such that the business does not get impacted. So that is CFO visibility. Visibility is knowing your cash flow, knowing your inflows, knowing your outflows. And then one of the other terms we very often use is runway. Anybody who can say who can explain what is runway? Anyone?
Yeah, for how many months or years this money will last?
Absolutely. Let's say the cash balance of a particular business is 5 crores. So for that 5 crores, how long will it last? Will it last for 3 months? Will it last for 6 months? Will it last for 12 months? Will decide the cash flow success of the business. Because it doesn't matter. There are businesses who make massive profit. Profit is vanity, cash flow is sanity. If the money is stuck in receivables, if it is stuck in advances, if it is delayed, then obviously while the profit is showing in the P&L, that profit may not have realized. And this whole piece, and especially you are all into deep tech and tech, etc., and you all must have come out with systems. Now, these systems of 13-week cash flow, ideally a year. So in Rajasthan Royals, we never started a year with 1 year's cash flow, a year ahead of time, which means technically we would have 2 years cash flow. So 1 year cash flow that we're working on, plus the following year's cash flow, even when the year hasn't started, to exactly know where the dips are going to come. And in those dips, how are we going to fund the business? Are we going to get debt? Are we going to get equity? Are we going to get shareholder loan? Are we looking at some other arrangement? All of that planning starts way ahead of time. So whether you run the finance of your business or not, whether you are in a job or whether you are a business person, you need to know the business which you are a part of, where you're getting your salary, how their cash flow is running. What is the runway that they have? Something goes haywire, will they be able to sustain you for another 1 year or not? Another 2 years or not? If you're, let's say, on a job, you might say that it's not my job to find the runway of the company, that the CFO has to do. Why should I bother? But if you go and ask the CFO, what is a runway? And if he tells you, oh, we have a runway for 2 years, even if things don't go right, we are good for 2 years. Will that not give you safety in your head that okay, I'm with the right organization? And let's say if the CFO tells you that, look, we have runway only for 2 months. If the money doesn't come in, we'll have to pack our bags. Then you need to know that, oh, then in that case, you have to have a plan B. In any case, you need a plan B because the way the technology is changing, the way the world is changing, the way everything is changing, AI is taking over all the monotonous roles and jobs. And I was talking to a photographer and a videographer, and he also is a music composer. He's like, my 80% of the time went into composing music. Now it's what is left is only 5% of work of the 80% because 75% is done by AI. I don't make jingles anymore. I don't create music for jingles. I don't create music for ads anymore. It's all created by AI. So learn new skills, invest in new skills, have a plan B in work as well. So whichever organization you're working for, just see whatever is their mainstream business. Will that remain mainstream 5 to 10 years from now? Or will it get replaced by something else? There are enough and more companies, all of you all know, and I know that have gone out of business because they did not grow. So, are you a person who's thinking like a CFO and adding value to the organization by thinking differently and adding the visibility to the organization? So, visibility was where we addressed the cash flow, runway was where we addressed the survival horizon. Third is systems. Systems is, I always say systems before scale. You don't scale first and add systems later. You add systems first and then scale. Or at least plan the systems. If not add, if you think it's an expensive effort, then you at least plan the systems before you scale. And here I'll give you example of another founder. Now this founder was in a very niche business. They created a product for restaurants. And initially in the early days, they had only about 80 customers, which meant 80 bills a month. They run a campaign and they optimize their pricing, etc. And all of that led to growth. Now from 80 invoices, in 3 months, they went to 800 invoices. And next 3 months, they could not send invoices to their clients. Why? Because they didn't know how to generate that. They did not create any backup system. They did not put an advisor in place. They really didn't know how to do that. A simple thing like invoicing getting delayed by 3 months impacts the cash flow adversely. Now, it's not that the clients are not willing to pay, but for clients to pay, the invoices have to go and in the format and giving all the details that they have to give, which is relevant in their business specifics. So, systems are equally critical. And fourth is review rhythm. Reviewing the numbers for businesses weekly is critical. It doesn't matter whether a founder goes to office or doesn't go to office, or he's operating the business in India from US or in US from India. Doesn't matter again. In Europe or wherever, whichever 7 continents, whatever he does, doesn't matter. Important is his dashboard. Is he looking at the right numbers? And what may be right for one business may not necessarily be right for another business. For some business, gross sales will be important. For some business, net sales will be important. For some business, gross profit is important, and some business, net profit is important. Now, in net profit, also EBITDA is important, maybe more important in a business. In some cases, post-tax profit is important. And then, what are the KPIs? What is that is going to convert the sale for them, or what is that uh, lever that is going to convert into revenue? Tracking that lever is very important. Today you have 10 clients and you're getting enough business, but you know that one particular client is closing. Then what is the lever you need to pull to get two new clients? What is that extra piece that you need to do? Is it putting more people in business development? Is it doing more client meetings? Is it doing another event? Is it doing coming with new products? What is it? So based on that, again, you will have an operational KPI. So knowing what are those 3, 5, 7 numbers, it cannot be beyond 10, 5, 7, 10 numbers because it's impossible to track more than 7 to 10 numbers. Ideally, I look at anywhere between 5 to 6 numbers, which you track week on week, and you exactly know if there is any deviation in these numbers, which is negative. Are these numbers growing how you expect it to grow? CFOs don't remove risk from the business, they assess the risk. What is the risk? And where does the risk assessment come from? It comes from systems, it comes from review, it comes from cash flow visibility, it comes from runway visibility. And what they intentionally kind of remove from the businesses, they remove surprises from the business. So whether it is personal life or professional life, a CFO mindset will not, a person with a CFO mindset will not like surprises. Does not mean he controls everything in his personal life and controls everything in business life. If surprises happen or if things beyond the control happen still, he is armored enough or she is armored enough to handle it with peace and calm. And that is how we define financially happy businesses. It's not about making massive profits. You make massive profit and then make massive losses. That's not. It needs to be sustainable. Whatever you make, you continue to make, and there is an upward trend. Not necessarily a steep trend. Even if it is not a steep trend, but it is moving trend and an upward moving trend, that is important because that will build a legacy. That way you'll build an asset which will be valued by the generations coming forward after you. And now here, for those who are founders or those who are even employees, they can also choose to rate these 6 sentences again. And these are primarily molded for business people, people who are owners of businesses in any way or capacity, whether you have a passive side business or you're part of a business and you may still want to rate this for you. Please go ahead because this will give you an idea of where you stand in your business. First sentence is I have clear visibility on my business cash flow. Rules remain the same. Rating is 1 to 5. 1 means no and 5 means yes. I have clear visibility on business cash flow. For those who are in jobs, also can rate this because they need to know what is happening in the business, in the company that they are working for. How is their cash flow looking like for the next 12 to 24 months? Because their business cash flow is going to decide their personal cash flow, whether or not will they get salaries for next 12 to 24 months or thereafter. So I have clear visibility on business cash flow. This could be your business or the business which you are a part of. Second sentence is, I know the monthly burn and runway. Monthly burn is when a company is spending more than it is earning. If there is, and this happens mostly in startups or in companies which are into crisis, that will be a monthly burn. Else, the companies will be on a good runway, at least about 6 months runway they will have. So I know the monthly burn and runway. Third sentence is decisions in the company are supported by systems, not firefighting. Which means when there is a problem, there is a system which will give its answer, not just randomly taking a random decision. And one random decision in a month is okay. But every day, if you're firefighting and making decisions in the business, then that definitely means that systems are not in place, which is why you have to make 5 decisions every day, which means 5 into 20, about 100 decisions a month. If you are making 100 decisions a month in a business, your quality of decision making is already gone down. You're not making good decisions because obviously, if you were making good decisions, you had to make only 10 decisions a month or 15 decisions a month. If you're making too many decisions, it's a concern. Fourth sentence is business decisions are emotionally neutral. Am I making this decision because I want to favor my employees? Am I making this decision because I want to look good to HR? Am I making this decision because my subordinates should feel happy? I should give them good rating because I'm a good human being and I should be projected like that. Am I making this decision to just be likable? Or I'm making these decisions which are emotionally neutral, which are empathetic but not sympathetic. There's a difference. Am I showing empathy or sympathy? Fifth sentence. Teams operate on one version of truth, which means they have one version of data. It's not that five people, let's say, sales has a different data, purchase department has different data, let's say, tech team has a different data, marketing team has a different data, and finance team is operating on a different data, but different assumptions and different plans. Teams should have only one set of data and it should be common and known to all, unless there is something so concerning about your business and it's so super confidential that you want to hide from, let's say, lower in the hierarchy. Unless that's not the case, data points should be the same across the organization. And sixth is there is regular money review rhythm or there is regular financial review. So weekly is a financial review happening, money review happening. Are the numbers being looked at on a weekly system? Those who have put if you have the scores for all six sentences, again, you can put in the chat box or you can keep it to yourself. Choice is yours. But if the score is 26 to 30, you are in a scaling zone, you are calm, you're doing well in the business. If the score is 20 to 25, you're working in the business, but tension doesn't leave you. You're always in tension. If you are between 14 and 19, you are in a chaotic growth stage. And if you're below 14, again, you purely surviving. It's just matter of one thing changing and survival matrix could be different. And businesses fail not because they are weak, but because they are unmanaged or not managed correctly. And this primarily happens from, again, conditioning, which comes from personal life, gets borrowed in the business life. And the business is also run how the professional life is being run. So there is no system, there is no review, there is no visibility, and we're looking at something and just looking at maybe feelers of how the business is looking like, but not objectively knowing how the business is growing. And here, three shifts in the happy business flow that one can bring is move from bank balance to runway thinking. If your bank balance is 5 crore, 10 crore, 1 crore, 50 lakhs, and the business doesn't matter because bank balance is bank balance. What you need to clearly and accurately know every week in your business is what is your runway. Cash flow, cash is a snapshot, runway is a reality. How long will your business run if the inflows slow down? Second shift is move from hustle to systems. Hustle is something happens and you take an action. Another something happens, you take an action. A third thing happens, take an action. I have a friend who's into business and he's like, every day some or the other drama happens and I'm finding very, very good solutions. Every day I'm very creative. I'm creating new solutions. I said, you're not creative, which is why you're creating temporary solutions. If you were creating permanent solutions, you didn't have to create solutions every day. You are purely hustling. You are not scaling. Hustling is not scaling. Putting systems and growing with the systems is real scale. Amazon has put some of the best systems in place, and which is why they're able to scale how they're able to scale. Even when they were not making money, they were still fun. Their systems were always in place. They put the systems first, and growth came in later. And there are many such examples. And third is move from emotional review to actual review. If you weekly look at numbers, see founders, those who are founders and business owners, or even those who are working in businesses, even salaried professionals, they need to know what the company sale is for this week. Did the company sell enough? Now, whether the company is selling a SaaS software or the company is selling some product or giving some service, are they selling enough? And if it's your own business, you 100% need to know. And also need to know what are the costs. Because whatever the business is selling, minus the cost, is going to give you the net profit of the company. And obviously, the earning has to be greater than all the expenses. And that's only when the business will be resilient and will be able to run. A calm founder builds a resilient business. And I'm just now trying to bring both the things back, personal CFO and business CFO pieces. Happy money will give you peace. Happy business will give you stability. And CFO thinking will give you both. And if you see alignment in both of these areas, we spoke about visibility, we spoke about awareness, and we spoke about review. Know your numbers. Be aware and be present with what is happening with your numbers, whether they are in your personal life or in business. And third is review them from time to time. You cannot put money, let's say I put 10 years ago, I created an FD of 1 crore and it is just lying there forever. I never looked at it if I had better options. Or even for that matter, I invested 25 lakhs in mutual fund 10 years ago and I've not reviewed that. Mutual funds will grow on its own. Some funds would have stopped performing. Of course, you need to invest in mutual funds for long term, yes. But if some fund has stopped performing or has slowed down, you can always withdraw that money, pay the taxes, and invest in a better mutual fund option. But all that will come to you only when you review. And my last piece is what you don't know, delegate. If you know and understand all of these pieces, whether they are in your personal life or in your business, excellent. That's massive achievement if you understand the numbers, both in business and personal life. But if you don't understand, hire people who understand. Plan your financial journey in personal life. Plan the finances of the business. If you're a salaried person, still plan how your life is going to run in this business. And if you're shifting jobs, look at their balance sheets before joining those companies. Look at their financial numbers. Will they be able to sustain your salary for the next 3 years? They might give you a 30% jump and then that startup dies in 3 months. What happens to your life? Now you left a sustainable job, maybe paying slightly less but sustainable, for a startup that gave you 30% rise or 40% or 50%, which shut down in 6 months. So are you better off here or were you better off there? But had you looked at numbers, you would have been able to identify. I'm not saying don't take a risk. What essentially I'm saying is be aware. You may take risk. You may know that this startup could scale or could die. I'm taking that risk knowingly. I have my buffer for 2 years. If this job doesn't work, I'll go to another job. If there's a plan in place, excellent, do that. I'm doing this business. Let's say, I'll give you one personal story here. When I decided to leave Rajasthan Royals after 18 years, I obviously had a very, very fancy salary. I could have continued there and worked there and, kind of grown. But then I realized that I had to do more and I had to move out. But before doing that, I went back to my notebook, my calculation, my Excel sheet. I exactly knew what my monthly expenses are. I exactly knew what my financial freedom number is. I exactly knew whether I'm financially free or not. I exactly knew my runway. And then I made a decision to quit and start my business. I continue to still advise Rajasthan Royals. They are my first client. Thanks to them. And even for my business, I listed down all potential expenses I will make. I did my revenue, one is targets, which is again in scenarios. Most likely, stress case, I'll make so much. Most likely case, make so much. Best case, I'll make so much. And in each case, what will my expenses look like? And can I sustain those expenses for 3 years? Let's say 3 years, there's no income. Then will I still be able to run my company? When all the answers were yes, I went ahead and did this. So having that thought, having that planning in place, so that one blow and you're not down and thinking what's happening, what do I do, and become suicidal. And I feel very funny when people in America commit suicide. While I feel sympathetic, but what I feel is a little blow in your financial situation. You really want to end your life? then there's something you've not done right. Something certainly you've not done right. We always knew as children that we have to grow up and life is going to change for 5, 10 years, everyone's life changes. It is going through some cycles of up or down. And therefore, are you the CFO of your life and planning for those surprises, identifying those risks, keeping things in mind that, okay, things could go this way or that way? Are you logical with your spends or are you just spending out of your emotional traits? One other thing, one last piece that I want to highlight is whether in business or in personal life, people tend to do this. Okay, I am now 25, so let me do an FD. Now I'm 30, let me do an SIP. I'm 35, let me do that Kanya Yojana. I'm 40, now I should do PPF. I'm this, so I should invest in mutual funds. I'm so and so I should do this, etc., etc., etc. It's like there is a garden, and without any plan, wherever you feel like you just plant a small, sapling. Now, how are these saplings and in the same soil, you're not bothered whether which one needs what soil, what fertilizer, what thing, in the same place you've planted different seeds. How are they aligning with each other? You have no idea. That's not investment. Doing these things one off is not investment. Even if the corpus is big, it's not investment. Financial planning is knowing your plan, knowing what the end goal is, how will you get to the end goal, which means what categories of investments, at which points will you need liquidity. Now, it could be business also. In business, at which points will you need liquidity, or in your personal life? Let's say if it's a personal life, you need liquidity when you get married, you need liquidity when you have a child taking birth, for the education of the child, for what you call marriage of the child, or it could be business setup for the child, your own retirement, and so on and so forth. And if it is a business, you will need liquidity at the when you're setting up the business. Then you will need liquidity at the growth stage when you want to grow from level 1 to level 2 and level 3 and level 4 and level 5. In that case, you could get debt or equity money. Ideally, in the early stages, you should ideally use debt and eventually go to equity when you're okay. You're more concerned about the speed and you're okay to let go of control. But at each stage, different debt options are available. If there is a cash inflow outflow gap, you will purely get a cash credit or an overdraft. If you are buying an asset, you'll get asset finance. If you're looking at some major growth plan, you will probably get into convertible debentures and then eventually equity. You let go of some level of equity or IPO or however else. So, how you plan for business is also how you plan for your life. Knowing you're enough, knowing, okay, I made 10 crore rupees, I have 10 crore corpus or 15 crore or 20 crore corpus. Now I can choose to do the work I want to do. Rather than just going on with your 9 to 12 because you're a workaholic and this is what you were told to do. Your parents told you have to work all your life, you cannot enjoy, you cannot take holidays, you continue to keep doing that because you condition like that. Sorry, it needs to stop. We need to be conscious with our lives. We need to be conscious with our money, whether business or personal life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Create a happy money flow for yourself. And last but not the least, mimic your death. Mimic your death. And I mean this, I've written about this in my book in the last chapter where I talk about circulation, which means, see, all of us are fragile. We can die any moment. Any moment. And if I die now, what happens? How does the money in my bank account get to my children or my husband for that matter? How is it that my home loan or any other loan or business loan gets taken care of? How is it that my gold or any assets wherever they are lying reach whoever they have to reach to? Where are my bank locker keys? Who knows it? Do I have a PPF? And if I have, then what happens to that? Where all do I have bank accounts? What is the mutual fund? So much money goes to the government treasury because people do not claim, because people have chosen to hide their financial life from their spouses, from their children, purely thinking they are going to kill them for that money. I don't know where that comes from. If your value system is strong, neither your employee is going to kill you nor your child is going to kill you. Nobody's going to ever kill you. Nothing is going to happen of any of that type. So Talk about money. Talking money is not a taboo. Talk about money and everything money in your business. Talk about money and all your investments, etc., with your children, with your family, and leave behind, whether you are in a company or whether you are in a personal life, leave behind happy money, not legal battles. What you leave behind should go to the next generation, whether in the business or in personal life safely. Recently, I'm working on a project. It's a hospital in Kandivali in Bombay. Now, this was a 35-bed hospital run by a doctor. The doctor himself died, and the wife had to shut down the hospital. And there were 212 people employed there who lost their jobs. And the hospital property, because there was a bank loan, is now fully taken over by the bank, and I'm helping the bank sell the property. Now, how many people lost because that one doctor did not plan what will happen after his death? So had he had a structure in place that after, if something happens to him, and if he was such a key person in the business, if something happens to him, what will happen? Each of us need to do that. If he would have done that, those 212 people would have not lost their jobs. Today also at Kandivali, you'll see three nurses standing outside looking for petty, nursing IR arrangements, like because now they don't have anything to do. It's been 6 months, but people are struggling. So one person not planning their financial life well impacts financial lives of 212 people. This is a life case. And that hospital was operational, was profitable. All he had to do was he didn't think he will die so early. That's all. We all think we'll not die. You think the same, I think the same. Now I don't think the same anymore. Sorry. I've changed. I've learned. It took a while, but it came. It happened. So I learned that I'm fragile. I will pass. But when I pass, I know what I have will go to my next generation. I know my business will go to people who can run the business. So it's not made for me, but it's made to survive beyond me. So whether it's your business or your assets, it should survive after you. And that is the thought I want to leave you with today. Over to you all. I think it became a monologue, but happy to hear from you and any questions you all may want to ask. I tried and kept it very simple and not technical and not bringing too many numbers. It's a task for me not bringing in numbers, but I tried my best.
That was an excellent, session, Mona, and we all had the pleasure of listening to you. So, nevertheless, it didn't matter. It was a monologue or anything. Maybe, we will open it to the participants for the Q&A, and anybody who has a question, maybe they can unmute themselves and ask the question.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment to share. It is, in fact, thought-provoking and leading and leadership thoughts that has come from Mona to
Thank you.
reflect on, honestly.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
The finance as a subject or accounting as a subject, we all know and we have seen them for years together. But how do we relate to the professional life and to the personal life and then combine both and be pragmatic? That's the kind of message. I think that's what the intention is also from the speaker.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot. It did reach well, and probably it will stay for some time to reflect on.
Even if I think one action taken by one of you also makes a difference, because that's the mission I'm on. I want people to relate with money with more happiness and ease and joy, rather than being worried about it and worrying about what's going to happen in the future, etc. And be with things will happen. I mean, we can't control that, but we can plan it well. Any other questions?
Yeah,
I think
just
we
a
have a
comment.
question from Shesha.
Please go ahead.
Hi, Mona, wonderful session. And my son is 22 years old and he's very much interested in investment and he wants to explore all kind of investment like SIP or liquid gold and shares or whatever possible. And do you have any sessions or guidance for the young generation?
So I think first thing they should have is a very good medical cover, and medical cover should get updated from time to time. So first thing for youngsters is emergency fund. So whatever his expenses are, he should have at least 6 months of those expenses in emergency fund. I say 1 month of those, let's say his expenses are 50,000 a month, an example, or 25,000. I don't know if youngster, anywhere between 25 to 50,000 should be good for him. And if 50,000 is good for him, then 50,000 into 3 lakh should be his emergency fund saving, of which 1 month's expense, which is 50,000, he can invest in liquid funds, and 2,50,000, sorry, 50,000 in a short-term FD. So if there's an emergency, immediately you can liquidate the FD and use for 1 month, and 2,50,000 in liquid funds. So that's the broad calculation. So 6 months expense in emergency fund immediately, 1 month in short-term FD, 5 months in liquid funds. That's the very, very simple formula. And add to that, I would say that he should have his mediclaim in place. And mediclaim should be updated by all of us. Everyone should update it. We tend to take 10, 25 lakh, 30 lakh, 50 lakh mediclaim. That may be valuable today. 20 years from now, it may not be enough, because the way the things are changing. And all my aunts and uncles I see now, everyone who took mediclaim of 5 lakh and 10 lakh at their, whenever they were young, it seemed a lot for them. But today that 5, 10 lakh is not enough for a bypass or a surgery or a transplant. So, people tend not to upgrade. I was on a 25 lakh cover. I've updated that to 1 CR now. So that's my personal thing. For 4 of us, I think 1 CR is a decent amount, but I will again in 3 years relook and see how the health piece is in India. How is it changing? So look at your mediclaims, because medical blow can take a lot from your savings. So youngsters should start early, make sure you have decent mediclaim, and do not depend on your company's mediclaim. You are on job today, you may not be in that same job forever. Company's mediclaim is only relevant as long as you're working in that company. So one thing you should not compromise is on mediclaim. And once you cross 45, and if a disease is diagnosed, you will not be allowed mediclaim for that particular disease. So people tend to say that, okay, but when I leave this job, I'll take mediclaim. What if by then they get blood pressure or diabetes or some other health issue? I don't know what. Cancer is so common today, and cancer does not ask you or anyone, oh, what is your age? Am I invited? Sorry, it doesn't happen. And people are coming out of cancer. It's treatable, just that it's an expensive treatment, I would say. So please have decent health cover. For anybody to have a decent medical life, medical support in India, 10 to 20 lakh per person, I think is a bare minimum. If you can afford that, please do it. If you can't afford that, take a smaller cover. But if it is 3 people, 4 people family, then multiply it by that many times. 10 to 20 lakh for a family of 3 would mean anywhere between 30 to 60 lakh minimum. So sorry, Shesha, I hope answered your question in terms of investments, emergency fund and mediclaim. Yes, if he's already covered for 6 months of emergency fund, then he can do SIP. SIP is an ideal solution. There could be a small amount of gold. I always say that gold is a buffer. So 10% to 20% of the portfolio can be in gold. You cannot have your entire portfolio as only gold. So those are the broad top lines. Any other
Hi, Moona.
questions? Yeah.
Hi, Moona. Thank you. It's very much,
Thanks a
I
lot.
mean,
It really helped.
valuable for us to listen to you. And this is probably my second time listening to you. It's so great.
Thank you,
Would
Lavanya.
like to check with you on few things like Warren Buffett, he entered into the share market and other stuffs by 13 years. So how we can like under our kids' name, not on our name, how we can invest something under our kids' name in market and other stuff. So is that
See, when you will enter the market in your kid's name or your name doesn't make a difference, because taxation you will have to take care of anyways.
correct?
So
But I
really,
don't
honest,
want to have that transfer kind of options. Rather, if it is just built on their own name, it will be easy for them to get it consolidated, right? So how we can process it
see,
that way?
I hear you. I'm not a fan of having assets in anybody else's name as long as I survive, as long as I've really decided to give. Because you really
Okay.
don't know today who's going to survive longer. Emotions put aside. One.
Okay.
Second is when you are in control of your money, you can always give it to someone else. There's no problem.
Okay.
Some part
Mm-hmm.
of your money, of course, you can invest in your child's name, some small set of mutual funds or investments. Share market, I don't advise people unless you have a good advisor or you have knowledge on the share market.
Okay.
Investing in share market without knowledge is nothing but gambling.
Okay.
And gamble is not investment.
Even with
Mutual
respect
funds, the
to,
advantage is at least the mutual fund manager understands his work. So you're paying small percentage in your mutual fund investment to that fund manager for his
okay.
services. Who's doing his job for you to make money in mutual funds? Somebody is working. But when you go and invest directly in shares, nobody is working and looking at whether that specific share is good for you or not. And there are 1,000 options. I wouldn't know which one you will choose. There have been people who've
Even
lost
with
money
blue
in
chip
even
companies, it's
Reliance.
of not in like it's not
Blue chip
interest.
companies will also go through their cycles. I don't know if the blue chip company that you are selecting is going through a down cycle or an up cycle.
Okay. Okay.
Every company will go through a cycle.
Okay.
No share is like lived forever. Of course, you can invest in TCS
Agreed.
and just forget. People say
Mm-hmm.
that some amount, small amounts you can do that, but that's not really investment planning. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
really invest in share market, have a share market advisor who creates a
Okay.
portfolio for you, who's looking
Okay.
at the prices going up and down, who's taking
Okay.
advantage of those falls and ups
Okay.
in cashing the profit, who's monitoring it. Money
Okay.
needs review, whether you do it or get it done through someone, period. We spoke
Okay.
about review
Okay.
in business finance, we spoke about review in personal lives also. Money
Yes.
needs review.
Okay.
So you do it or somebody else does it for you at a
Okay.
at a small fee that you may pay them or whatever. Or a lot of these come without fees also. I do not encourage bankers as advisors because bankers are on a target to sell certain products.
Okay.
They have their job is to sell those products, and by selling that insurance policy to you or that specific mutual fund to you, they are making their incentives. You need to understand that they are not your managers.
Okay.
People tend to,
Got it.
a friend of mine, CTO of a company, Ron Money knows her also. A banker sold her 20 lakh premium policy per year. She's 54. 20 lakh per year premium policy she doesn't need. She has enough assets. Even if she dies, she's good with assets. But why would she pay 20 lakh premium on one policy? So, and she was like, the banker convinced me and I did it and I did not, I just happened to do it. And now she cannot withdraw that money. She has to continue paying it for 5 years. So now that 1 crore, which she could have grown otherwise, she will have to now keep it in the policy. These are real life cases. Everything I've told you
Mm.
about evidence, any example that I may have used today, these are real life examples, what I see every day. So bankers are not your insurance advisors. Again, somebody who's selling an insurance policy, he's selling an insurance policy and that is his product and bread butter. So you need someone to look at your assets authentically and putting it into a financial plan and a matrix and plan for you. Or you do it yourself, whatever. Those who are financially vigilant can do it for them. But I always say that, well, when you have a diagnosis or a major surgery, you go for a second opinion. My thing is, when you're making a major investment, go for three opinions. Why
Okay.
not? Take 2 to 3 opinions. Of course, you may have a gut feel. Of course, you may have an idea for yourself. Of course, you may have data, but it's always good to have 1 or 2 or 3 opinions and then sit back and see what is right for you, especially if that is a big part of your investment. So, share
Got
market
it.
only if you have information, crypto only if you understand it. Otherwise, go for simpler products, corporate FDs or AAA bonds or mutual funds, good mutual funds, SBI ones, or multiple others. They are safe. But again, you need to know when you need the money. What is the liquidity? How are you
Okay.
moving to your, freedom number? When you will
Okay.
eventually be financially free? How will you plan your retirement? When you retire, how much money will you need every month? And where will that money come from? So it starts from your earning, and but eventually it'll go down there. So Lavanya, my suggestion to you is before securing your child and how your child gets the money, secure your retirement. If your retirement is
Okay.
secured, your son or daughter will have lesser problems in their life because they know their mother is sorted for herself. Then they don't have to take care of you.
Correct. Got it.
Best gift every parent
I
can
have
give their
planned for
child
it.
is to become financially free themselves. So they are not
Huh.
a burden on the child, rather they are assets for their children. So
Correct.
that's my urge.
Well understood. Point
Yeah.
well.
Plan your medical policy very well, because all of us before dying at least once will use that policy. In the world we live in today with the kind of food we eat. So plan your medical policies very well. I really don't bother so much about the term loan policy because that I'm not going to use. I'll die. After that, only somebody is going to get money. But when I'm surviving, at least I need to survive well. First, I need to love myself too, and then others. So, which is why medical is very important. Take from a good company. Check one ratio you can check. You can just go on Google and check claim settlement ratio. So any company whose claim settlement ratio is good, you can choose those companies. If not the top, if the top five, you can choose. Choice is yours. Premiums will vary from company to company. Look into inclusions and exclusions. Look for, try and take policies which have 1 month post hospital care. Because even after hospitalization for 1 month, you will need a lot of medication, lot of treatment. OPDs can be included, then even better. So see what all can be included. Try to take the best policy available. If there's any query question, I will give you my LinkedIn ID, or can just post it on LinkedIn on my DM, and I can help wherever possible.
Thanks. Very helpful. I am already connected to you now. Thank you.
Sure. Excellent. Any other question? We're already at 7:35, and I don't want to delay everyone, but if there's any question, happy to take. Otherwise, Srinivasan, if you want to go ahead with the closing note, up to you.
Sure. Yeah, maybe, if you can post your LinkedIn ID in the chat box, probably, or I can do that as well. So the participants who want to connect, they could do, and we would also probably post this in the YouTube and share the YouTube link with all the participants. So, and first of all, thank you, Mona. Thanks for taking the time, on a busy schedule. And we do know, that you had a flight delay and you had to land, and we just came across. And so thanks for all taking all the efforts and pain to be there with us today. And it was, as an, insightful and very interesting session. And if you could see the participant count, like, it almost remains stable and predictable, like how a cash flow or a runway is. So it kind of adds to, the proof is in the pudding in terms of what exactly the session was all about and how it was. So thanks a lot, and thanks to all the participants. And we would also like to thank our committee member, Brown Money, for introducing you to us and bringing you on, to the Spin Forum. So we would love to keep engaging with you in the future, and to all our participants as well. And we are all working with a more vigor and renowned purpose in terms of how exactly Spin Chennai is going to shape up in the coming days ahead. So we will be, like, this monthly session. We are actually planning to conduct it regularly. So to the participants, have a look out to the inbox and look at all the mails that we send, and you would have more interesting sessions and speakers like how we had Mona. And Dr. Rajaram also mentioned about the Deep Tech Forum, which is recently launched from Spin Chennai. So to thank you again, and thanks to all the participants, and wishing everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year as well. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas all, Happy New Year, and keep making happy money.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Moona.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mona.
Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
New Year to you too.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Bye-bye.